Hey guys! Alrighty, so today I am finally posting a video on how to make a witch's ball. And this is, I have 3 of them here that I just created, and so I'm making one for a demonstration purpose for you. I just made these because I did a day where I was selling them on my on Facebook, and so I'm getting these all put together and sent out today. But originally, well, not originally because they think that it's actually much older than the 1800s, but in the 1800s in England, you would actually see these in quite a few places, over windows, doors, in people's homes, and the thought of that, or the thought behind it was that they would trap any negative entities, spirits, ill will, any kind of negative or harm sent towards the family. If you notice, this has a whole bunch of yarn in it, as well as herbs. Back then, they were colored silver, and they had yarn or tinsel or some kind of string inside, and possibly an herb or two. But it was thought that the silver on the outside would attract the spirits, and once the spirit touched the ball, then they would be sucked inside, and the yarn or string would entrap them, and so it would contain any of these negative spirits that were trying to harm the family into this protective ball. Nowadays, you will see them in every shape, size, color. They even have ones that are blown glass, but they're very, very easy to make on your own. You can make them for different purposes. If you don't want to make one for protection, but you want to make one for abundance, you can do that too. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make one, how I make mine for protection. And as you see, most of the tutorials I've seen on YouTube do color the ball some kind of a shiny color. They'll actually take paint and pour it inside of the ball and swirl it around to cover all the surfaces and then let it dry for a couple days. I personally like to see inside the ball, so I've actually added little trinkets to add that shiny color to them because I like to see what's in mine. So, let's get started. So what you're going to need is some kind of a vessel. So I went and bought just clear glass Christmas ornaments. You can also buy ones that are silver. You can buy ones that are gold. You can, if you probably already have some in your house. There's also like little ones like this. Like this is one from Hobby Lobby. This was $1.50, and it's like a little light bulb. You can use a light bulb. So be creative with it. It doesn't have to be, but I found that the Christmas ornaments are the cheapest way to go. I think this whole thing of 12 was like, I think it was $10, which means they're like less than $1 a piece. And I think you could actually buy them individually as well for extremely cheap. So get yourself a vessel, and then you're going to gather the ingredients that you want to put in your witch's ball. One of the main ingredients is yarn, or some kind of string, tinsel, something like that, because that is your web. That is what you are capturing any of the negative entities, ill will, any kind of negativity that is coming towards you, coming for your family, in your home. That is what's trapping it, along of course with your intentions, is the yarn. So you have that, and then I always try to do things in increments of 3s. So like my herbs, I did 3 pinches of each, and I have 9 different ingredients. So I have 6 different herbs. Nope. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I have 6 different herbs. I have graveyard dirt. I have yarn, and I have black tourmaline. And I'll go through and explain them as I go. So, probably need one of these to show you guys how to do it. Alright. So get your ball, glass, vessel, whatever it is that you're using. And I've also, if you can, I don't think you can see this, but my altar right now is a mess. So if you have a funnel or a little teeny tiny spoon, it does work best. Otherwise, just know you're going to have a little bit of a mess. And I try to find something just to set it on because the ball will roll everywhere. So if you're using a Christmas ornament, take the cap off. And what I also cast Sacred Space, and I kind of put my intentions out there and said what exactly I was doing this for. You know, I did my thing before I do this, especially with anything with protection, just because I feel like, you know, I don't always cast, I didn't cast like a full-on, but I mean, with protection, you really want those extra positive energies. You really don't want anything nasty coming in. So, okay. So, bam. The herbs and stuff that I have, I guess I could tell you the list before I get going in case you wanted to. And like I said, this is everything that I put together myself. I used the help of the Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs by Scott Cunningham, and then I also used my own intuition when looking through my things at home. Like, for example, I think it was skullcap. Was one of the ones that was not listed as a protective herb in there. I don't even actually remember what it was listed as. I don't think it was in there. And I didn't even look it up because I just knew I had to have it in there. So it was just something that was an intuitive thing for me. But use your own intuition, you know. If you really feel like lavender is a protective herb and you really want lavender in there, then use lavender. You know, use what you have at home. If you want to use salt, you can put salt in there. Because I have sage, salt would be awesome to put in there to dispel negative energies. So please, 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 please use your own discretion when you're adding your own stuff. Like I said, I have 9 different ingredients. If you only want to add 1, if you want to add 3, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I have skullcap, sage, mugwort, cinnamon sticks, St. John's wort, Solomon seal root, graveyard dirt, and yarn, and black tourmaline. Okay, so gather your ingredients, whether they're similar to mine or completely different. And what I do is, like I said, I find power in 3, and so I like to add 3 pinches of each herb. You may only want to add a pinch, you may only want to add a piece, whatever works for you. So 3 pinches of skullcap, sage. The pieces are a little bit bigger, so I normally kind of find like some bigger pieces. If I can't find a big piece, I'll just, well, that one's 3 pieces of sage. Now, sage is for one of the herbs that will help to neutralize any of the negative energy, energies that gets trapped in there, since sage is that cleansing herb. And then we'll add mugwort for protection, 3 pinches. Cinnamon stick for protection. Now, I have found that the entire cinnamon stick won't fit in there, but if you break them into pieces, if you have bigger pieces, because they do break pretty easy, you can fit one of those in there. So there's 4 ingredients. 5 is St. John's wort, another one for protection. Like I said, you should see the mess. I got a mess. I got a mess. Y'all need to get your brooms, because it is a mess. 3 pinches of Solomon seal root. And Solomon seal's root is actually a little bit bigger, if you can see them. They're little. So if you want to just add 3 pieces, you could do that as well. I just like them, and they smell so freaking good. So graveyard dirt. Dirt is obviously of the earth. It's another fantastic ingredient to help dispel and to help neutralize any of those negative energies. Plus, I really feel like when I add graveyard dirt to things, it really gives that extra kick, especially anything having to do with protection. Now, I want to just put this out there that this is not graveyard dirt that came from a particular grave. This actually came from the base of one of my favorite trees that I visit every time I go to the graveyard. And when I took this, I left an offering of cornmeal and crystals behind. So, graveyard dirt, you really, really want to be respectful if you're going to go and pick some. You don't just want to go and start digging, because you could have something that you don't want that follows you home because you pissed it off. So, just make sure if you do get graveyard dirt, you get it with respect. And if you, for some reason, want to get it from a grave, that's on you. You you hopefully have a very good connection with that spirit before you do so. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Black tourmaline. Ha 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 ha. I had it. Where did it go? Oh. Black tourmaline piece. Bap. I have these available in my shop. Black tourmaline is just fucking amazing for any kind of protection, dispelling negative energies. Actually, if you use black tourmaline and you bury it in the four corners of your property, it keeps negativity away. It's like the best herb crystal when it comes to getting rid of that nasty stuff. Alright, so now we have 8 of our 9 ingredients. Our 9th ingredient is to fill the remainder of the ball with yarn. And what I do is I just take a bunch of yarn and cut it into like 3-inch strips, just like that long. Just cut it into strips so that it will fit through the top, and because it lays in there much nicer, it kind of bunches. It's just a traditional thing. It's just how it's done, and I like it. It's actually kind of difficult to get it all in there, all as one big glob anyway. But this really helps to form kind of your web. I mean, if you look at a spider's web, it's all individual pieces. It's not one big large piece. And so that's what you're doing here. So you're going to shove and shove and shove all your yarn. And then now the important thing, now some people just put it in there and call it good. I really like to have my herbs and everything really mixed in well with the yarn, but I have to forewarn you, because I learned this the hard way. As you can see with this one, you do have a crystal in there, and if you're using glass, you hear that? It will break. I promise. It will, because mine shattered. So, if you're using a glass ball, like mine, make sure that you kind of roll it when you're when you're shaking it up, as opposed to like vigorously shaking it to try to get the herbs everywhere. Because I promise you, you will frickin' break it, and then you'll be pissed. Because the only thing that you can try to get out of there is your crystal. Because good luck getting all the rest of that out, unless you completely break it. And then I feel like a broken witch's ball is just bad news bears, and I feel I started over. The only thing I took out of it was my black tourmaline. Everything else I'm pitching, and I started over because I just feel like that's, I don't know, it just didn't feel right to reuse it, especially when I was making it for somebody. But anyway, so as I'm talking to you and talking away, yay! Okay, so now we are full. You can't even see it there. See all the herbs at the bottom? So you just very carefully kind of like turn it to where you can see the herbs and give it a nice little shake, careful shake, more of a roll. And then as you can see, it will disperse the herbs all throughout your ball. Yay! So now that everything is dispersed and it's good to go, I'll take my little top and put it back on. Ooh. Oh, I bent it. There. Okay. So now you have your ball, and then I have little pentacles, and I will take yarn and tie them on there. That's part of the little flashy thing. Plus, of course, the pentacle is a big sign for protections for witches. And then I take silver ribbon, and I hang it up. And good to go. Like I said, when I was actually doing these other ones, each ingredient I put in, I told the ball exactly what that ingredient was for, and then I also went through at the end and I told my intentions. I said, you know, this ball is for protection, for myself, for my family, you know, whenever there's negative energies or anything in the area. I basically told the ball what it was doing. It was going to suck in any negative energies, any spirits, any ill will, anything like that, and it was going, the tourmaline and the sage was going to neutralize that energy and send it back out, because I really don't like the idea of energy just being stuck somewhere, because that's kind of wasteful. So as opposed, you know, instead of a evil anything being stuck in the ball, why don't you neutralize it and send it back out so it can be reused? So that's what I did. Another really nice thing that you can do with these is get a piece, get a piece of each of your family members. So your husband, your wife, your kids, your pets, especially your pets, you know, get a little piece of hair, you know, just kind of like go like this, and oh look, hair. Get a fingernail clipping, just something little, and put it in there, because I personally think it helps. It helps kind of increase the mojo. If you don't want to do that, you definitely don't have to. And I'll just show you guys, if you can even see it. But there's mine. I have it hanging. So anyway, long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I thoroughly, actually, really enjoy making these a lot. And I only did them as a one-day sale. But if anybody else is interested, I would be happy to make some for you. Like I said, I had all the description and everything on my Facebook. I'm still kind of hee-hawing around on whether or not I actually want to post them on Etsy or not. It may just be like a special order thing, but yeah. So you guys have an awesome day. I'm going to get these packaged up and go clean my house. So I'll see you guys later.